everybody. Welcome back to Words with Wayman. I'm your host, as always, Matt Wayman. Please support us on the internet at Words with Wayman on Facebook, Words with Wayman on Twitter. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got a very special episode. Local business runner, my friend, maestro of the arts. Please welcome to the podcast, Mitch Fair.
Hey, buddy.
Did I nail it? Did I nail the last name?
You got it.
Crushed it. We can do this. We can continue the podcast. Thank you for coming out. I met you through your girlfriend. Actually, we worked together at a Mexican restaurant in Denver.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah.
Down at Blue Bonnet?
The Blue Bonnet, everybody.
Bonnet.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Great salsa.
We both, great salsa, good people. We both made it out of there. We work at different places, but that's where we met, and she introduced me to you. You are part of the collective group of artists called This Project, if I'm...
Just This.
Just This?
Yes.
Cool. So what's the website for that?
Thisproject.net.
Cool. Thisproject.net. Local company up in Denver. So I guess just for the people out there that don't know what you guys do, kind of just explain what you guys do.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we're a locally owned and operated art, print, and design company. So we do, shirts, stickers, hats, web design, logo design. We paint murals. Pretty much anything to do with art, we take a stab at it. We do art shows as well. So
yeah, you guys do a lot of art shows. How did you specifically get into art?
I think it's always been one of those things, since you were a kid going to art class, which those are dying off, sad to say. Just having the freedom to do whatever your imagination tells you to do.
Yeah. Was it more drawing that you got into originally?
No, actually, I'm a terrible drawer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad at drawings. But it was just, getting your hands dirty, finger painting, or, clay, or sculpture, or, kind of anything and everything. Creating something out of nothing is super rewarding. Very, it's amazing.
It is.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So that was the original goal, was just the need for creation.
I think so. Yeah. I think it was just creating something from nothing, and also not having any rules. There's no right or wrong to art. Sure, there's rules to follow, if you will, and then once you learn those rules, you can kind of bend or break those rules.
Learn how to break them.
But I mean, that's the best thing about it. There is no answer. There is no right or wrong. It's just doing what makes you happy and gives you that weird little fuzzy feeling inside.
So what did that take? How did that come about? Was it more in like grade school or high school?
I mean, it was definitely, I think, grade school. Of course, art class was definitely your favorite class, or my favorite class.
Yeah.
But definitely when I got to high school, all the electives, it was art classes.
Yeah.
Sculpture, what is that? Pottery.
Yeah.
A couple of painting classes, but really, I mean, doing stuff with my hands was a little bit more what I went after or
felt
thought
natural.
Was cool. Yeah. Just using your hands to create something.
Was that embraced in your high school as much? Because was it like, were like Pete's like, oh, the art kids, or was it just more like one of those things that you did?
I mean, my high school was pretty cool because they definitely gave you a lot of different art classes to choose from.
Nice.
It was really diverse. Plus, my art teacher was just the coolest guy.
The raddest,
Shout out to Mr. Wright.
Mr. Right, not Mr. Wrong. The right guy to support the arts.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, I didn't want to go lift weights in gym class do health or something like that. It was the one place you could go and do kind of whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
And again, make something out of nothing.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, every other class is premeditated. You know exactly what you're going to do that day. You know what the syllabus is. You know all that. And then art, you can kind of just go and kind of make anything for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, a math class, there's a right and a wrong answer. An English class, it was, you got to kind of follow these guidelines. There's a certain way you can you write.
Yeah.
Where with art, it's no holds barred. You can
there might be a
whatever.
little bit of like, obviously, I mean, I think people look at art very, like, there is no right way or wrong way. I mean, there's definitely a wrong way. I mean, if you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole, art, or what, eye of the beholder, that whole thing goes a long ways. And yeah, there's better art than others out
definitely.
there. But I don't think you could ever go to somebody and be like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Stop doing art.
Yeah, definitely not stop doing art, but maybe, like maybe there is other directions or something that,
Right,
something that could be said.
Practice your craft a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm all about from the school of, just you doing it 100 or 200 more times, you are going to kind of learn what you messed up and what you kind of need to do to make it better.
Exactly.
If you do it enough.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of artists go through it of, you create something and then you stare at it for a long time and you just hate it.
Oh, yeah, you're like, this is the worst.
You get down on yourself about it, and then all of a sudden you stumble upon it like 2 years later or something, and you're like, oh, you know what? This wasn't that bad.
Yeah, the
I
artist
definitely got
eye.
a lot better, but yeah, this wasn't as bad as I remember hating it.
The artist eye is the hardest part. I feel like I struggle with a lot too, of just like the thinking there, like being like, this is trash, but knowing that, maybe it isn't, and maybe that,
Right.
you will look at it a little bit differently later. So how did so basically, have you been from Denver, or is that where you grew up?
I was not born here, but my dad moved me here when I was about 3 years old, so
Okay.
more or less born and raised
Nice.
Denver, Colorado. So.
Oh yeah. How did you guys get together so did you so you went from high school and then you went out to high school out here. Did you go to college?
I did not.
Nice.
I tried to
Good
go
choice.
to community college for about 2 semesters, kept falling asleep,
Yeah.
and couldn't afford it. So
Yeah.
I kind of had to bail on that whole
It's probably the right call. I mean, especially like knowing what I know now after going to college and what I've used from what I've learned in college, a lot of
Right.
times it is a financial burden.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah.
And especially to go to an art college.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
There's a huge one up here, Denver Institute of Design.
Yeah, the Art Institute.
The Art
We
Institute,
also
yeah.
got Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design, which 2 of my guys,
Cool.
my partners went to.
Yeah.
And which, I mean, if I could have afforded it and had the means to do it, I'd have loved to go. It would have been awesome.
Do you think they're exponentially better off for having to go to that, or do you think that they go more towards specific themes that were taught in that school based off the fact that they were taught in that school?
I think that they just have a leg up on a little bit of guidance from teachers and other classmates and things like that.
It's connection based.
Yeah, and just opening up your eyes to maybe things you hadn't thought of before or techniques you may not have thought of, where I've learned a lot from those guys.
Yeah.
Kind of secondhand schooling, if you will.
Of course, yeah.
And then also just trial and error, looking at other artists, trying to figure out how they did it, with different techniques and stuff like
Cool.
that. And however I can apply that to my skill set.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that, just basically that they've learned stuff based off what other people have learned, but also it's just kind of maybe not art. It's not art school that does it, but maybe it's just like the people you're kind of kicking it with. It is those art school
Right.
kids, that kind of are pushing the envelope a little bit.
Oh, totally.
To find that newer stuff.
I mean, those guys, even some of their friends that have now become my friends, I mean, it's always interesting just to kind of see how they view the world, or view specific artists or art pieces, and just the techniques and ways to go about achieving a certain end goal can really spark motivation, spark imagination, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of one of those things, if you don't know about it, it's hard to stumble upon it.
Yeah. I got in kind of a weird way. I just started making posters and then got into art, but then I started following all the biggest, the bigger artists and everything.
Right.
Just kind of seeing when most of those people have gone to professional schools, like we're talking about.
Right. And I think that's kind of where I got into it as well, is really following the artists that I've grown accustomed to liking, and becoming friends with them, asking them, how'd you do this, or where'd you get this going, or how do you achieve this, or where do you even get started in a medium like this?
I don't know if that's just Denver or if it's all over the country. or just artists in general, but I found people up in Denver are super like, how'd you do this? And they're like, oh yeah, they'll totally tell you about it. It's not like a secretive
Right.
thing, or it's not of like a thing that they're trying to hold over your head by any means.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it can be hit or miss. I mean,
Some artists are like,
definitely. Some keep it to themselves or give you some weird broad answer.
Yeah.
You got to kind of break down those walls a little bit more
Yeah.
to get in some insider information.
put them on a podcast or something like that, possibly. How did this come together?
So it's me and 3 other guys that own the business. We were all kind of just in different spots in life. You know, me and one guy were working at a snowboard shop and a bar, which we still work at that bar. Another one of my guys worked at Lockheed Martin for a long time, was doing like 3D animation there.
Oh, cool.
Apparently the space program kind of tanked, and he ended up getting let go.
Really?
And so we were all, you know, kind of doing individual art projects. We did a lot of street art stuff.
Cool.
And would work together on that, or, you know, little smaller projects.
Kind of dive into that for just a second. What kind of street art projects were you guys doing? Just murals and stuff?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it was, you know, I guess going out. We had a big magnet coalition kind of thing going on for a while. So we'd collage, draw, paint, stencil, you know, the little magnets, go around town, throw them up on whatever you could.
Cool.
It was our
unintrusive graffiti type thing?
Exactly. Nice. Yeah, something that if you got busted doing it, you could pull it right off.
That's
and
awesome.
then there ended up becoming this kind of small little community that would run back alleys and run all over town and essentially collect and trade through the street. So you'd go
collect your magnets and stuff?
Yeah, you'd go and you'd find somebody else's. You know, you may have to like jump on top of a dumpster and kind of a fire escape sort of ladder to get up to something, but you'd take theirs, throw yours up, and, you know, you'd maybe a week later go walking by and they would notice that theirs was gone, but somebody left one behind.
That's awesome.
So, of course, on the back you wrote, you know, your little tag name or... you know, some little message or whatever.
I remember talking to you at some point. You guys did a cool one, like you'd throw them up on VW buses or something.
Yeah. Well, I had a VW stencil that I made. So whenever I would see a VW bus, I would actually go up, like throw it on the tailgate, and you know, hopefully that guy found it later on, or it just stayed on his car for, you know, a month or something. Which is funny because every once in a while, I would see a guy, you know, driving down the street in his VW bus and have my magnet on it.
There's something about street art like that, and that's kind of like where I got into it originally too, was just doing like street art and like little shitty stencils and stuff in the street. But it is so gratifying, like just to see other people either tag it like on Facebook or like tag it on Instagram or something like that, or just like even I'm sure that's so much cooler to see people like start trading your magnets. Like.
Yeah, totally. And you would even, you know, I've gone over to somebody's house and seen stuff on their fridge of mine that I've never met them or gave them, you know, a magnet before and been like, hey, where'd you get this? And they're like, oh man, you know, my buddies do this magnet thing and we ended up finding this one somewhere, so I took it.
That's the coolest. That's kind of like, I mean, I feel like when you get into street art, you don't necessarily want to like be known 100% because like you don't want to get caught, but you do want everybody to see your stuff, and that's why you do it.
Totally. And also, you know, to be able to, you know, take it down and keep it forever.
Yeah.
It's, you know, other than saving a picture on your cell phone that you're never going to look at again, I mean, you actually have the physical piece of art hanging on your fridge.
That's a super cool medium. So you guys got together, you're doing a bunch of magnet stuff, and then you're like, maybe we can try to make this more of a business side?
Yeah. One of our partners was doing screen printing for a while. And, you know, we had been talking about it for a long time of just how cool it would be to, you know, start a business and start doing art. And it all just came together perfectly. It was, I mean, I don't want to call it destiny, but it kind of feels that way.
Yeah. It was easy. I feel like it's the way that it should be, especially in those things when it is such a creative thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we were all at a point in our life where we need to do something. We're tired of working, you know, for somebody else, dead-end job. You know, there's no time like the present. Yeah. And if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. So
that's awesome.
We did it.
Congrats for you guys for actually stepping outside and being like, we're going to do this, because everybody has this good idea in their head, but a lot of people are too scared to actually do it.
Right.
So I give you so much props for doing that. That's how quick these things go, guys. This is going to be the first part one with Mitch Fair from this. Before we get out of here, you want to give all your contact info so everybody can find you on the internet.
Again, our website is thisproject.net. You can find us on Facebook at just this, TH exclamation point S. Instagram, this Denver. I think that's it.
Yeah, a bunch of art shows around town. They did the mural up behind Three Kings and on South Broadway in Denver. If anybody wants to check that out, PBR theme mural, which is really cool. If not, support them online, but also support us online. Words with Wayman on Twitter, Words with Wayman on Facebook. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll be right back with part 2.